Prepare yourself for the terror. The prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
Welcome to Unsung Horrors with Lance and Erica.
Leave all your sanity behind. It can't help you now.
Welcome to another episode of Unsung Horrors, the podcast where we discuss underseen horror films, specifically those with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica.
And for this episode, we're sticking with Italian horror with my pick, Arcana, from 1972, directed by Giulio Questi.
Yay.
As of this recording, Arcana has 338 views on Letterboxd, and it can be found on YouTube with English subtitles. Okay, so it's difficult to summarize exactly what Arcana is about.
There's a loose narrative.
Yeah, which I'm probably going to use a lot of the same synopsis I pulled from when I announced it on Dial Help.
Sure.
But yeah, it's like this strange psychological kind of spiritual journey of a horror film. Interpretation is just open and left to each viewer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, here's just the general idea. It's about a widowed mother played by Lucia Bosse and her creepy son, who he doesn't have a first name.
No.
Their last name is Tarantino, which is the dead father's last name. So I'll call her Miss Tarantino, and we'll call him the son.
Yeah.
Or the mother and the son, whatever we want when we talk about it. But they run a fortune-telling business out of their apartment. The mother does this clairvoyant tarot card reading bit as a means to scam money from rich people so that she and her son can move into a nice place and live a better life. But the son believes that there is black arts and evil spirits out there, and he becomes kind of a bit of a sorcerer, using his powers on some of the frequent clients his mother's seeing, including a beautiful young woman named Marissa, played by Tina Omont, who he's grown especially fond of. And you quickly realize that the son's powers are bubbling over in ways that will likely cause some apocalyptic event, which is what seems to occur at the ending of the film.
I think so.
Yeah? We'll try and figure this shit out as we go along. So yeah, Arcana, like I said, it's a movie that doesn't have much of like a steady or easily interpreted plot. The movie, it's just something to get lost in, the images, the performances, the music. There's a lot to love and hate about it. But I think everybody can agree that the cast is something that you love about this movie, because they all put in these wild performances. The cast is very minimal. There's a lot of small roles in Arcana, but it basically focuses on three actors. And first you have Lucia Bosse, who plays the mother, Ms. Tarantino. She's a beautiful Italian actress. She began acting in the early 50s after winning a Miss Italy beauty contest, kind of like Rosalba Neri.
Mm-hmm.
Bosse acted mainly in romantic comedies and dramas in the early 50s, but she was in two great Spanish thrillers in the 50s, or Italian thrillers. The first being Michelangelo Antonioni's Story of a Love Affair in 1950. And one of my favorite Spanish thrillers, Death of a Cyclist in 1955.
Yeah.
So I watched this for the first time when we covered Corruption of Chris Miller.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Javier Antonio Bardem directed it. He also co-directed one of my favorite double feature picks, Belle from Hell, playing on Tubi. Everybody needs to watch it. That is not my double feature pick for this movie, but it would work. Yeah, and then Bosse took a break from acting at age 24. She married a famous Spanish bullfighter who she met in Spain while filming Death of a Cyclist. And she had 3 children with him, and she didn't really return to acting until after their divorce in 1967. So well over a decade, she took time off with her family. And when she returned to acting, she had more than 40 films and television series credits. She had a small role in Fellini's Satyricon and Cocteau's Testament of Orpheus. But she was the lead in a lot of really interesting horror and thriller movies like Nocturne 29, Something Creeping in the Dark, The Double, Blood Ceremony, Bloodstains in a New Car. I watched a few of these, and I think you've logged a few.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Something Creeping in the Dark, which is written and directed by Mario Colucci. It stars Bosé and Farley Granger. Have you seen that one?
No, I was going to. I saw you logged it and gave it 3.5, though, so it's on my watch list now.
She's really great in it. She plays this married woman who, like, along with a bunch of other people, they're stranded in this old mansion due to the roads being flooded out. And the first thing she does when they're in the house and realizing that they're not going anywhere is she just suggests, like, an orgy. Yeah.
What else do you suggest when you're stranded?
She's really funny in this, not giving a fuck about anything, just kind of wanting to drink and just, like, not be there. But the house they're in once belonged to a woman who was believed to be a witch. So Bosé's character suggests a seance to evoke the dead witch who owned the house. And then it becomes this murder mystery, involving, like, possible possession. It's really fun. It's really slow. Farley Granger plays this criminal named Spike. He's got, like, a little leather jacket. But all the characters in it are really engaging. So I do recommend it. It's on YouTube, if not just for Bosé's character alone. And then I watched The Double from 1971. That one was okay. That one had my main draw to it was Silvano Tranquilli was in it, who we love.
Yeah.
Very slow. That one was just okay. She's great in it. She has, like, blonde hair in a lot of these roles too, so it was a different look if you'd just seen Arcana.
Yeah. But
apparently that was a look she had in a lot of her movies. Then I watched Blood Ceremony, also known as The Legend of Blood Castle, the Mondo Macabre Blu-ray, which I think would make a great pick. It has under 1,000 views. And Troy Howarth does the commentary.
George Grau did that one. Or Jorge, I don't know how to say his name.
Jorge Brau. B-R-A?
No, it's G.
G, Grau.
Yeah, but he did Living Dead of Manchester Morgan. That's one of my favorite non-Romero zombie movies. If not my favorite non-Romero zombie movies, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, and also, for listeners, that's actually a hint at an upcoming pick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Blood Ceremony also has Silvano Tranquilli in it too, which we love.
Yes.
He's becoming one of my most watched actors this year.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I think it would make a fun pick. It's under 1,000 views. The Mondo Macabro Blu-ray is worth picking up. It's like a different take on vampirism. Everyone in it is, like, infatuated with drinking blood to remain and look young. Women rub pigeon blood on themselves to firm the breasts.
Doesn't work, folks. I've tried it.
I don't know. Your breasts are pretty firm. But yeah, it's fun. It's kind of like I thought of, like, it was like a Jack the Ripper type story with vampirism in it. The way it's kind of, it does have some real animal abuse and killings in it for those that are, turned off. I'm a vegetarian. I can watch it, but it does bother me. It keeps me hot and bothered sometimes. And then Lucia Bosé's last film credit was a film called One More Time, released in 2013. It's about an 80-year-old retired actress returning to a small Chilean town where she grew up to fulfill her father's dream of creating a TV channel in a place that has never known television. Bosé was actually 82 when this was filmed, and I want to check it out just to see her last role.
Yeah.
She passed away in Spain in March 2020, but everything I've seen her in is worth watching, mainly due to her performance. She's beautiful. She's like a Rosa Albaneri for me. I'm so captivated by her.
Yeah.
So actor number 2, we have Maurizio degli Esposti, who plays the creepy son, and he only has 4 other acting credits, each all under 100 views on Letterboxd. Not very well known. A Girl Called Jules is one of them. Kill the Fatted Calf and Roast It, which has a Morricone score, and Simona. So those are the 4 movies. I couldn't find really anything on Esposti. Whether he quit acting altogether, passed away, it's a mysterious character like Arcana.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, a listener will be like, "Oh, I googled his name. Here he is." Like, do your work, Lance. Come on. But yeah, if anybody has any updates on him, let me know. And then last we have Tina Omont, who plays Marissa, the young woman that the son's character is just infatuated with. Omont has a very distinct, very recognizable look. She was an American-born actress, but most of her films were all foreign. She played Daniela in Martino's Torso.
Torso!
Yes.
Torso.
Henriette in Fellini's Casanova, 1976. She's in Tinto Brass's Salon Kitty.
I love Salon Kitty.
Yeah, Tino Brass worked with her a few times, calling her one of the most beautiful women in the world. And like I said, she is very captivating. She has a very beautiful look, very exotic. I recently watched two of her films that sounded interesting. One was a Tinto Brass movie called The Howl or Lurlo. And Omont is amazing in it. It's on YouTube. It's this strange experimental film, incredibly fast paced, like you're on an acid trip, and it just never slows down. It's definitely a horror movie, but it has a lot of dark humor filled with like imagery, animals getting their heads cut off. Again, real animals getting their heads cut off, fake humans getting their heads cut off, a little bit of necrophilia in it.
Yay.
A little bit of cannibalism, lots of naked men, lots of naked women. But I have to share the Letterboxd summary of Howl of this movie because it's wild, and obviously what made me watch it, other than Tino Mott. A young bride escapes her wedding ceremony with a stranger, and together they set off on an epic journey through increasingly bizarre lands. They encounter talking animals and mournful exhibitionists, converse with a discoursing rock, journey through a surrealist psychedelic hotel, instigate a prison riot, escape from naked cannibals living in a tree, and battle a wind-up midget dictator. And the movie's weirder than that. It's
sick. Wait, mournful exhibitionists?
Mournful exhibitionists.
Hell yeah, people. You guys know how to party when someone fucking dies.
It's weird. I think there's clearly a lot of symbolism to, the government and wars and stuff like that. But it's a quick watch. I want to say it was just over an hour.
Okay.
And it moves at such lightning speed. It's maddening. Check it out. It was on YouTube. And then I watched another Omont movie called Man, Pride, and Vengeance, directed by Luigi Bazzani, who did The Fifth Chord.
Oh, yeah.
The Possessed. The main reason I watched it, other than Tino Omont, is Franco Nero stars in it with Klaus Kinski.
Oh, that's perfect.
And yeah, it's a great movie from 1967. So from the title, the poster, the cast and crew, you think it's your standard spaghetti Western, but it's like a tragic romance drama. Nero doesn't have a sexy mustache. I have to point that out. But he still looks great. He looks like Django. It's Django times. It's 67.
Yeah,
66.
okay. I mean, that's fine.
Yeah, he could pull it. I mean, he's still worth looking at.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous in it. Tina Mott plays his love interest. She's gorgeous in it. She plays this gypsy who basically cons Nero into loving her while taking advantage of him and a bunch of other men. Franco is just completely obsessed with her, finds out that she's sleeping with his lieutenant. He ends up killing his lieutenant in a fight accidentally. So he and Omont are kind of on the run, turning into outlaws. Then he finds out she's also married to Klaus Kinski. So it's great. It's a great score, great cast. Just the performances are worth it alone. Definitely check that out too. I think that was on YouTube. But yeah, Tina Omont's filmography is really interesting. Worth checking out because most of her stuff are these like experimental films, a lot of short films from France, a lot of Spanish films, German. She's, like I said, most of her filmography is foreign and very experimental. Definitely worth seeking out.
Yeah, she did one that I watched last year, maybe the year before, called Illustrious Corpses. She plays a prostitute in it, stars Lino Ventura. I watched it on Cave of Forgotten Films. And what did I give it? I gave it 3.5, but I didn't write a review, so I don't remember what I liked about it. But I trust my past.
It sounds like there might be necrophilia involved, but maybe just from the title.
Oh my God,
I don't know.
No, just Illustrious Corpse, because it's about a detective who's investigating deaths of court judges. So,
okay.
Yeah. So no necrophilia in that. At least I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure there's not. There is one other cast member I did want to mention because what's frustrating about this movie is that both IMDb and Letterboxd only have they have all the actors listed, but they're who they played is not besides the main three. And then the credits and the beginning and the end of the film don't have it either. So you really only get those three. But I do know that one of the actors in it, Renato Paraci, he was also in Gestapo's Last Orgy, which has a really great release from 88 Films with commentary by Sam Deegan. That's really good. He plays the professor in that. I think in this movie, he's either one of the customers or the guy who gets cannibalized by the children.
Yeah.
Because there's a customer and then that guy who look kind of similar. I'm pretty sure it's the guy who gets cannibalized.
He's the guy in the suit with the glasses.
The glasses, and he gets like called in, and then like
Yeah.
all the kids are like chomping down on him.
Sorry I didn't mention that in the synopsis, in the summary.
I mean, it doesn't fit in with
It doesn't.
the plot.
I do have a note on that though, because that's interesting. Yeah, because you're right. The cast, like on IMDb, on Letterboxd, the only people that have character names tied to them are the three that I covered.
Yeah,
everybody else, and there are a lot of small characters. I mean, when she's doing these seances or these little card reading sessions and stuff, there's up to like 24 people sometimes in the apartment.
Even the little person who comes in to deliver the veil.
Yeah,
you would think that person would get more of a credit, but no. Like even that person, I'm like, I don't know who that is, and like, there's no photos on IMDb, so I don't know who you are. I'm like, are you the person from Don't Look Now? Like,
yeah, because on Letterboxd, I have it up right now. There's like 6 people listed.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and only 3 of them have names on. Yeah, so it's more mystery behind the film. What's it about? Who's in it? Who knows?
Only Giulio Questi knows.
He does, and unfortunately, he died in 2014.
He
so
did.
We can't ask him.
Yeah, maybe I can evoke him.
Channel him.
Yeah, let's do some sort of seance.
All right, let's bust out the tarot cards.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Giulio Questi.
Yeah.
Since we'll try and reach out to him later after we record this. We'll get the candles out and stuff.
Excellent.
But this is his movie. He's a bit abnormal in comparison to other Italian filmmakers. He tends to bend genres in ways that don't really, I would say probably don't appease fans of these genre films, spaghetti western, gialli, and horror. If that's what you're expecting or thinking you're getting from the poster, you're not going to get it. He's quoted as saying about himself, I'm completely an outsider compared to contemporary industrial cinema, which is very true, especially with Arcana.
Yeah. He said there was a interview I saw with him. It was like a 10-minute interview or so. And a lot of it he was talking about, contemporary. And he's like, I don't fit in with this kind of thing. But he did say he viewed cinema as pop art, which absolutely to me makes sense.
It does.
In retrospect.
Yeah. And it's in all his films. I mean, especially Arcana, which is just all these images. Mm-hmm. Arcana is his third and final feature-length film as a director. He started off directing shorts, some documentary and television work, as well as writing scripts. He co-wrote an Italian war drama called The Tank of September 8th in 1960, and he actually co-wrote The Possessed, which he co-wrote with directors Bozzoni and Franco Rossellini. Have you seen The Possessed?
I own it, and it's been sitting on my damn shelf, and I meant to watch it this week, but I had some moments this week. So let me just say I did not do as much homework as I would normally do for an episode like this.
That's cool. Yeah, I'd recommend The Possessed. It's beautiful. And the dreamlike plot and the way it progresses definitely feels like a Questi film, or that we would come to know when he started directing.
Okay.
Yeah, intriguing watch. He also has an uncredited acting role. I just want to point this out real quick. In Fellini's La Dolce Vita, 1960. He acted in all his personal digital shorts 45 years later, which I'm going to talk about because I'm blown away by Giulio Questi.
Okay.
So, but yeah, his feature films are, like I said, Arcana was his third and final. His first directed feature was a film he wrote, a spaghetti western called Django Kill, If You Live, Shoot. But I think it's just referred to as Django Kill. Yeah. Released in 1967, starring Thomas Millian. Millian he plays a stranger, a half-breed who helps some outlaws steal a crate of gold from this Wells Fargo wagon. The outlaws double-cross Millian, kill him and all his Mexican friends, but Millian survives and seeks revenge there's this great opening shot, you watched it, of him just, his hand coming out of this grave that he dug himself, that they forced him to dig. And it looks great, gorgeous shot. It's labeled a spaghetti Western, but the beginning, especially the beginning and the end and some of the little, the little plot, the characters thrown in, it moves along like an old Hammer horror movie to me.
Yeah.
The end, you get the fire. With the
yeah,
villain.
Of course.
There's like this lady who's kind of chained up in, this room, and she feels like I got a lot of Hammer vibes.
Yeah.
And that's what I really liked about it. I think it does go on a bit long.
A little bit, yeah. But that one's on Tubi if folks want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I did read one review that mentioned that movie got chopped to hell by editors like after the fact without Questi's input. So I would imagine that if we actually saw his true vision, that it would be even more abstract and non-spaghetti Western than it already is.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Because again, he's not like other Italian filmmakers. And if a studio or any type of people involved are financing this and they probably watch his movies, they're like, fix this, make this something, which is probably what happened in Django Kill, like you said. One that's a little more odd, a year later, his second feature, 1968, the giallo of sorts, Death Laid an Egg.
Yeah.
This is, I watched this one. It's like a weird love triangle with cheating spouses who are completely confused in their lives and decisions. There's not much murdering going on. A lot of focus on, the chicken factories and the slaughterhouse and trying to create boneless chickens. It feels more like an analysis of like unfaithful characters who act like robots. They're given like these emotionless performances and reactions.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a lot of subtext about capitalism and using machine to replace man. But this is one that feels like Questi, strangely edited. The score is by Bruno Maderna, who the score almost like is put in place to purposefully frustrate the viewer, or at least just add to the confusion of what you're watching, because it just changes tone and doesn't fit any of the scenes it's on. And I was just completely into it. That one's on Tubi as well.
I rented that one from Vulcan Video a few years ago. Now I'm sad.
We're going to cut to a commercial while we cry and hold hands.
Damn it.
Erica.
Sorry.
Okay. And then after Death Laid an Egg came Arcana, 1972, which he co-wrote with Franco Arcali, who's credited as co-writing all three Questi features. But I did watch an interview with Questi, and he doesn't really earn the co-writing credit as a writer, more so as just the editor, because he helped him form all of his films, he said, and he pretty much writes with his editing. I don't know what he did in Django Kill, if there was another one involved, but he did work on all of his films. Arcali did co-write Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America, as well as Last Tango in Paris. But he was more an editor than a writer. He, like I said, he edited all of Questi's films. He edited The Night Porter, the Italian Edgar Allan Poe anthology, Spirits of the Dead.
Yeah, I think that was a Horror Gives Back pick for me.
Yeah, I saw you had watched it.
Yeah. And The Night Porter, folks, if you have not seen that, come on.
Bertolucci's The Conformist. So he was a great editor, a great Italian editor.
There's one other one he did called Identikit, or The Driver's Seat. And I mentioned that just because it's actually getting a release in an upcoming Severin box set for House of Psychotic Women, Kayla Janice's updated version of that book. So all of the movies in that, Footprints is in it, or Footprints on the Moon. And I Like Bats, and I can't remember what the fourth one is, but yeah, instant pre-order on that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm stoked for that.
Yeah, I did the package with the book because I really want to get that hardcover book. I never picked up her first edition, but exciting.
Yes.
But yeah, Arcana. So Arcana was a flop, a financial disaster, partly due to the distributor going bankrupt as they were still printing copies of the film. Apparently, only 5 prints of the film were distributed across Italy, and it never played in any major cities. So, yeah, I guess maybe that's why he never did another feature. I did read interviews where he was just like, I'm not into 50-man crew. I'm not into catered lunches. I would rather just make a plate of spaghetti when I want. I want to get up when I want. I want to start filming when I want. So he definitely did that after Arcana. He didn't make another feature-length film. He did some TV and documentary work. But then in 2002, at the age of 78, he started making these digital shorts. He had a digital camcorder, and he just started filming these shorts over the course of, 4 or 5 years. Him alone in his apartment, all shot by himself. He played multiple characters, just editing it. They're all collected. There's 7 of them on a DVD released in 2007. I think it's just called By Giulio Questi. It is all in Italian. There are English subtitles, though.
Okay.
I recommend this DVD. It's region locked, so if you don't have a region-free Blu-ray or player, this is reason enough to buy.
Just for this?
Just do it. Yeah.
There's lots of reasons.
There's lots and lots of reasons. But if you're like, man, I've been thinking about it, do it and then buy this DVD. Because these things are so inspiring. Yeah. Especially watching him, in his 80s make these, they're horror. I mean, again, he kind of bends genres, but they're mainly like horror, dark humor, dramas. I fell madly in love with Giulio Questi as an artist watching these. And I want to touch on some of them just to give you an idea on how creative they are and, what they're about. There is a 45-minute documentary. It's not really a documentary. It's just him being interviewed, talking about a lot of these digital shorts. He said he started making these shorts to help keep death at bay. He's all, when you're my age, that death is coming. But it was just a form of intimate writing with a camera. Yeah. It's kind of just journaling his ideas. Again, all filmed alone in his apartment. They run from about 15 minutes to about 30 minutes. I think we're very lucky to have a creative who never stopped making movies like these.
I mean, some people should stop at a certain point.
Well, I think, I would definitely agree with that. Mm-hmm. I think some should stop making feature-length films for sure.
Yes.
And I think Questi made the right decision because history has shown that the older you get and you kind of stick with the specific genre and you try to replicate masterpieces, Argento,
Whatever. You already said you were going to rewatch Dracula, so.
I think Argento's, his later stuff it's terrible, but it's so much fun. You can't deny it. A fucking praying mantis.
I can deny it.
Questi focusing in on shorts, I think, and just doing it by himself. Yeah. It's just, and he pointed that out too. He's like, I don't think young filmmakers can do this. I would urge young filmmakers to create their own movies and, experiment with cameras. But I'm an old man. I know what I'm kind of, I know how to edit. I know how to shoot scenes. Mm-hmm. And it works for me because I'm old, and it's true. He's just an old guy who used to make feature films, works of art, and now he's just in his apartment by himself. Terrible lighting, creating. He showed some of these techniques where there's a lot of. I noticed it when I first watched Arcana. He films a lot of people's feet just walking around, and I noticed it in Death Laid an Egg and. In his shorts, he does it too, but obviously he's limited. But what he does is he'll put a mat, like a floor mat on the floor, put his digital camera on top of it, have like a broom in front where it's over the camera. And as he's walking, he just pushes the mat in front of him. And it looks like, a pan shot, like he's being followed. And it looks like somebody's filming him, but it's just him pushing it. And there's videos of that. So again, this DVD is worth picking up, but some of the shorts, one of them's called Letter from Salamanca from 2002, which is one of his firsts on here. So this one I found terrifying. This was one of the first ones I watched. A letter is slipped under his apartment door, which has information that just has the date of his death, basically saying, hey, here's the date you're going to die. Mm-hmm. It's in a separate envelope. Open it if you want to know. And this man with no face who's calling himself Mr. Nothing or Nada de Nada y Nada is delivering the news. He pops up, very creepy. It's obviously Questo wearing like a stocking on his face and stuff. And Questi opens it and he finds out the date has passed. So his death date was a week ago. And Mr. Nothing says, oh, the date, don't worry about that. The date's retroactive. And
what?
Yeah. And Questy's like, what are you talking about? Today's November 9th or whatever the date was. And my death date was November 2nd. What are you saying? And Mr. Nothing's like, have you noticed a smell in your apartment?
Oh.
And Questy's like, yes, it's the neighbor. He's always making cabbage. I need to go tell him, to stop it because it stinks. It's been stinking for a while. He's like, nah, why don't you go look in your bedroom? Mr. Nothing tells Questy. And he goes in there and finds himself dead under the sheets. The dead guy, he gets up, starts walking around the house completely naked. Questy, as an 80-year-old man, is not shy about his body. In an interview, he said he doesn't like his looks or anything, but he got so comfortable and realized, this is who I am, flaws and all.
Yeah.
Almost every short, he's completely naked.
Yeah, good for him.
Respect, totally respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's shorts like that. He comes up with these great ideas. They're really well edited. They're very deep. And especially as I was watching this, as learning that this was kind of him to keep death at bay, he has all these thoughts of probably dying alone. And most of these shorts are people coming into his apartment, harassing him in some form. There's another one where these masked men are from the utility companies and they start drilling holes in his body with electric drills, burning his feet, gouge his eye out because he's not paying his bill. It's just him living his life, but you can tell this is a digital journal, which was so inspiring to watch.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. Would you want to know the date of your death?
No.
Same.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think maybe it would push me to, but no, it wouldn't. I would just focus on that day and be like, well, what's the point?
Right. No.
What if it's a month from today? I'd be like, well, I'm just going to kill myself today and be done with it. I mean, I don't want to know. I don't know if I don't know how I'm going to die. I mean, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah. I think the only thing it would do, if someone were to offer that to me, I would say no, absolutely. But I think that would actually spur me into oh, okay, I need to make sure I have a will in place. And I got, my animals, I got a plan for how they're going to be taken care of. And
that's true. Yeah.
You can have my Blu-ray collection, Lance.
Yeah. Put that in your will, please.
I will.
Now I want to know what your death day is. No, just kidding. Yeah. Just imagine that though, being how, I mean, obviously nobody would take it seriously, but having a letter slipped under your door that says, here's your death date, open it if you want. And if you don't open it, there's an envelope with your actual day of death.
Yeah. Ugh.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd recommend this again a lot. I'll post a picture of it on Twitter just because I want more people to know about this. Yeah. Not just people who listen, but my 4 Twitter followers. I don't.
Shout out to Lance's 4 Twitter followers.
Boom! You guys keep me going. Yeah, so that's kind of Giulio Questi. Real quickly, some other Arcana crew members: Berto Paisano and Romolo Grano handle the original score. And Paisano has been mentioned a few times on past episodes. He did the Patrick Still Lives original score, which we had with Sam Deegan.
Yeah.
Burial Ground, of course, Strip Nude for Your Killer. So many great Italian horror and gialli films. The score in Arcana adds to the mystery and confusion.
Yeah.
Which I think is what Questi, pulls from all his composers.
I read something in a review, and I don't know because this is on a blog, so grain of salt. Mm-hmm. But they said that the sound during the rites scene, I think the chanting at the end, frogs. We'll get into that later.
Yes,
is an original recording of a shamanic rite held in Macedonia that Questi.
That's the recorded. Fiddler.
I think so. Yeah. So wow. I mean. I don't know if it's true because this is a random blog saying that. So it's not if fucking, Tim Lucas or Stephen Thrower put that out there, I'd be like, okay,
right.
Verified. But some random blogger, I'm like, maybe.
It's still, I mean, even if it's not true, it's
yeah.
It probably is true though. I believe a lot of bloggers. There is a YouTube video of the full original soundtrack though. So, put that on.
Yeah.
For inspiration and to drive you mad.
I put it on when I was cleaning the other day.
Nice.
Gets you. I got deep in those corners behind the fridge and shit.
As I mentioned earlier, Arcana is about the performances, images, specifically the composition of the images on screen. And the cinematographer is Dario De Palma, who does a beautiful job in this. He also photographed Questi's Death Laid an Egg, Corbucci's The Specialists, and Fellini's The Clowns. So Arcana is, again, it's a beautiful movie, even if it frustrates you. That's pretty much it for the cast and crew. You ready to jump into the weirdness?
Yeah, do that right after this promo from our network.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Okay, Arcana. So I had mentioned when making this pick that this movie will try people's patience.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally get it. You'll know right away if you're in for the ride or not. And if you turn it off, I get it. I understand it. There is an opening title card of Arcana that kind of sets up that it won't be a normal viewing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, it's translated. It's probably, kind of paraphrased more or less. But to the viewers, this film is not a story, but a game of cards. This is why both the beginning and the ending are not believable or credible. You are the players, play smartly, and you will win. So, again, I think this opens up the whole notion of this is open to interpretation. This is you. This is your story. This is your narrative to the viewer. Do with it what you will.
Yeah.
He just wants to evoke like thoughts and get people thinking, I feel like.
Yeah. So Adam, hi Adam, had a review on Letterboxd about this, and he had mentioned that he happened to be in the right mood, or it was the right day for him to watch it. And I get that completely, because I didn't even log the first time I watched this earlier this week, because that was not the right day for me to watch it.
Yes.
And rewatching it though, I was like, okay, I am in the right headspace for this movie. I am accepting of the fact that there is a very loose narrative here, and that, this is just it's an invitation for you to experience what you will of it. And I don't know, you are the players, play well and win, or play smartly and win. I'm still a little lost on that part. I mean, as far as, I think it's just, if you gain some sort of satisfaction from watching it, maybe, or if you feel like you've interpreted something that in the film, maybe that's how you win. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's kind of what I get. Like, if play smartly and you will win, basically create a story in your head that makes sense to you. Like, I feel like you'll win if, you're right, if you get enjoyment out of it. Because, the definition of Arcana is secrets or mysteries, often used in reference to the mysteries of the physical and spiritual worlds. So that in itself is like so open to interpretation too. Like, if you start thinking of mysteries and spiritual and physical. But I do agree with what Adam said in his review. I think if you're not in the right headspace, I mean, I loved Arcana the first time and second time I watched it, but if I try to put this on when I'm in some sort of mood, when I'm thinking of, I don't know, something that could be depressing or anything that's just changing, my uppity self or something, I would hate this movie.
Yeah.
There's no way I would watch it. So it's a very good point when you brought that up, Adam. I was like 100%, dude.
What's difficult about this too is that, yes, you gave a brief summary of it. There is a very loose narrative thread in this, but more than anything, this film is, if you're asked to describe it to someone, you can give a loose plot, but you're doing it a disservice by saying it's about this, because it's really not. It's more of a just list of adjectives. Like, it's this cryptic, surrealistic experience, really. And then it also has these elements sprinkled throughout it. It's got incest, it's got rape, it's got superstition, it's got cannibalism, it's got spiritual awakening. I know there's some political subcontext in here, or at least maybe something regarding the haves and have-nots or marginalization.
Yeah.
Don't know enough politically about what's happening at this time to really comment on that, but it seems like there's something regarding the subway workers and all the people who are in line to collect their disability benefits and how they're treated. I know that there's something underlying there, but I don't know enough about Questi's political inclinations or religious inclinations, because I think that's a whole other level to this film as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he did. And I know when he was an interview I was watching of him, when he was 18 and 19, he did serve in the armed forces in World War II. So he fought fascists. One of his shorts was called Visitors, where they're about fascist soldiers that he killed.
Okay.
And they came back and basically they would tell him, he's like, why are you here? I killed you. You get out of here.
Yeah.
You deserve to be in hell. And they basically said, we can't die until the people we met are also dead. We can't cross over and go to this black hole in space. So here's a gun. Can you get this over with? You don't even have to worry about these horrible wartime experiences that you have. And Questi was like, the war definitely affected him. So I agree. I think he's politically driven in a lot of these ideas that he has. He clearly hated all fascists. I mean, he's clear on that in his interviews. But yeah, like any type of, because there's hints in Arcana too about like government assistance and stuff, maybe for disabled people. And I don't know, like you, much or anything about what was going on in Italy at that time.
Yeah, I want to say that it maybe wasn't even just some sort of political allegory, but more along the religious lines, like, the idea of blessed are the meek, where it's like we're trying to portray this group of people as being much more sympathetic, because overall, if you think about what Madame Tarantino is doing, she's holding these tarot sessions. People come to be alleviated of their guilt, much like people do in confession, only to be, what's the word I want, hoodwinked by fraud and lies. And in the movie itself, you have a very sort of thin narrative. You have a basic plot, kind of like Christianity, where it's like someone tells you, well, this is the general idea, but the more you dig into it, it's not a simple story. It unfolds, it becomes convoluted, it becomes contradictory, it becomes evil in its real sense. So I think it could really be tying it could be a criticism of both of those things.
Right. Yeah, because you're right. It could be religion. I think it does have, he does seem to focus in here and there. Again, I don't know how much, but on some sort of government political aspect. But I think it is more religion. And I feel like sometimes the mother and son, their whole bit as the clairvoyant is kind of symbolizing religion, or even like the government, which is, slapping you when your eyes are open, which he does that to some of the people.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes closed, making you believe that they're stripping you of fears and problems while simultaneously like adding to them, and all the while demanding money for a service that may bring temporary non-existent relief. So that's kind of like what religion and the government do.
Yeah.
They just kind of, hey, I'm here to help you, but pay me.
Yeah.
Listen to what I say and don't open your eyes. Don't seek anything else out. I'm here to bring you relief.
What's interesting is I think I just saw something and I didn't look into it, so I don't know if this is true. Don't quote me. I'm putting it on a podcast, so now it's out there, so people can't quote me. Damn it. But I think the Catholic Church just started allowing people to pay for sin forgiveness again.
Jesus.
After, I think it got banned in 16th century or something like that. And I think they've brought it back. I don't know if that's true. I feel like I saw that on Twitter. So again, I'm just a grain of salt, but a fucking,
it's definitely something that I can believe.
I believe it. I wouldn't be surprised by any means, but yeah, it's the idea of
people will pay and do anything to have some sort of forgive, like,
Yeah. Instead of
It's
just
terrible.
like living with your guilt, learning from it and building character from that, it's like, no, if I just confess
Right.
to a fucking priest
Yeah.
or pay them money for forgiveness and I'm assigned 40 Hail Marys, I'm fucking forgiven. It's ridiculous.
Or even just being, if you're, afraid of what happens after death, maybe this will buy your way into some sort of imaginary heaven place that you think is out. I don't know. Yeah, and another thing that was reminding me of this is the sun, when he's around the city, hanging all these objects and items, kind of these shiny objects that are catching people's attention. Basically, like, hey, ignore this apocalypse that's going to be coming, and look at these shiny forks. And it's almost like, hey, I'm distracting you from the real problems. And I don't know. There's a lot going on in this fucking movie.
There's a lot of individual elements, a lot of individual events that there is not really a through line with it. You never don't go, if you go into this expecting any sort of explanation, I am very sorry, you're not going to get it.
And I love movies like that. Eraserhead, there's Born of the Wild, even, or is that what it's called? Born of the Wild.
What?
Born of Fire.
Born of Fire. Yeah. Oh, I love Born of Fire. Oh.
There's movies that just like, I love that they're like filled with maybe intentional or unintentional riddles where you're just, this is yours. This is your movie, the viewer, do with it what you will.
Yeah, him, the son, collecting all of those black and white photos of hands or people's passport pictures. And then he like ties the string and has the...
It's like donkey teeth hanging from there.
Donkey teeth hanging over it. And like sometimes it's hanging over a picture and it's spinning. And sometimes it's just not doing anything. And you're not going to get an answer on like if that means anything or who these people are or what's happening. But for all you know, like he is putting spells out there on these people, but we don't actually ever see it. All we see at the end is just this absolute madness, chaos that he is apparently instigated.
Right.
Including, the children whom he turns into some sort of cannibals, like at some point with one man, I guess like going back to the religious element, I guess I sort of saw them as like his disciples where they're just sort of following him around. And
yeah, that's what kind of I got. Like, I think it's like another look at the whole people coming to Madame Tarantino and kind of doing whatever she says, but he has like this power over the children who are kind of like, her clients. They're just, I don't know, but they seem more powerful. That was a note on here. Like the children of the building, they all seem to be in this building with them. And they're all, when people are in the very beginning, there's a lot of people walking through the halls and they're like looking for Miss Tarantino's apartment to, have a session with her. And they see all these children just running around with like rope and strange objects, and they're all just kind of giggling at them, laughing at all these adults walking through their hallways. And they're asking like, hey, do you know where Unit C is? And they just kind of laugh and run off.
It's very Who Can Kill a Child.
Yes. Yeah, I was waiting for, and there is that scene. There is a scene that you brought up where they turn into these. So the son is awkwardly playing with the children, holding them and making weird noises with them. He's acting like a snake, like he's some sort of serpent, sticking his tongue out, flicking his tongue out. And the kids are mimicking him, just all gathered around him, grasping his clothes. And he calls over this man who's walking down the street, pulls him in the building, I think, like underneath the area. And they start, like biting on him. And it's just it's very odd. There's this one scene too. And this is in the first 15 minutes of the film where there's an egg crate being pulled with a string, and there's a single egg in it. And it's as all the people are leaving Miss Tarantino's, Madame Tarantino's apartment after they had their first session. They showed the first session of what she does and her son does. And the egg is, the little egg carton with a single egg is pulled to this man who has long hair. And these two young girls they're on their knees in front of him, facing him, and their dresses are pulled up so their panties are exposed. And they're making this weird kind of chicky sounds, like, and the guy picks up the egg and just tosses it over them. and it smashes on the floor. And that's the scene. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? That means something. But I don't know what, but I want to watch it again.
After that scene, I was like, okay, this is going to be 100% visual. Like, I'm not going to get anything explained to me. And so once your brain is in tune with that and aligned to that, then I think you're good. But if you get to that scene and you're like, what the fuck? And you turn it off, we get it.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
100%. I want to go over just a few of my favorite scenes, and there's so many of them. So there is a scene, it's the same scene where the son lays on the bed, and there's a bunch of black and white photos of everybody so when these people come to the apartment, what he does is he takes photographs out of their jacket pockets while they're having sessions with his mother, and he seems to collect these. And there's this one scene where he's standing in front of the mirror. And to me, he's acting like he's completely possessed. Like he's some powerful forces inhabiting his human body, and he's discovering its limits. And the physical features. He's looking at, he's pulling on his hair. He's lifting his shirt up, and he's like looking at his belly button, almost like, what the hell is this? He's
Pulls
opening
his mouth open.
That has to be Todd Phillips's. Like, he probably watched this, and he's like, "Hey, Joaquin Phoenix, do this as the Joker," because it's exactly the same.
Okay, I needed context because you said Todd Phillips, and I was like, "Who? What?"
Oh, he's the director.
Okay, I didn't see Joker, so
and so it's okay. But there, like, the son pulls his mouth open just like the Joker, and he violently just kind of closes it, pulls his hands away, and it's just like when I saw it, that's the Joker scene. But it also made me think like maybe he's reached his sorcerer status, like he knows where he's going. He knows the power he has, and he's just kind of playing with his physical form for a short period before the apocalypse starts. I don't know. That mirror scene had me like really analyzing, like most of these scenes do, what this is about, really fighting for meaning. And again, another reason why I love this. Then he puts on a dress. He dresses as a woman, puts a stocking over his face, and he lays on the bed with all the photos and starts kind of like, rolling around with them, I just love it.
Yeah. I think, him exploring his body for the first time, one of my favorites. I think my favorite, though, has to be the chanting in the kitchen with that music, and it's intercut with, I don't know, some peasants on like a desert farm hauling a donkey up to the roof.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah, if someone comes out and is like, "Oh, that symbolizes X," shut the fuck up. You don't know. Like nobody knows.
And those scenes too. There's always a child. Like even when they're in the kitchen, there's a child that the camera always cuts to see the reaction. When the donkey's being hoisted up by the rope, they cut to a little girl and she's just staring at it. Mm-hmm. And it seems like somehow children are involved in a lot of what's happening. Yeah.
And then there's the moment where I'm pretty sure it's the mother who the frogs are coming. So the frogs are coming out of her mouth, and fucking, hats off to you.
Real frogs hopping out, more than one in a single shot. So she's got multiple,
at least 2, maybe 3 at a time, and they're tiny frogs.
They are small frogs.
But I mean,
love it.
It's not like something I want to try and replicate and think like, I wonder how many frogs I can fit in my mouth. Like I'm not about to do that, but fucking mad respect for that woman for putting real frogs in her mouth, because Boo Boo got a frog in her mouth one time, and that fucking frog pissed in her mouth, and she was like foaming, and it was a nightmare. So I can only imagine like at least one of those frogs had to pee in her mouth.
Oh yeah, I would imagine secrete something.
Yeah.
And maybe she tripped or something, and it didn't matter. But yeah, I love that scene too, because at the end, they show maybe 5 or 6 jump out of her mouth,
right?
But at the end of that scene, they show the kitchen, and on the stove, there's like frogs everywhere.
I love it. Yeah.
I could have used a scene of her spitting out, 24 frogs.
Yeah. I could have kept watching that. I was like, there's more of this. This is great. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what it means. I'm sure there's some sort of, maybe it's like plague of frogs. Right. Some sort of, symbolism for the coming apocalypse. Who knows?
Yeah. There's just so much great scenes in here. And there is a relationship between the mother and son too. That's, hints at incest.
That doesn't hint. That's very clearly incest.
They don't show it, but yeah, they sleep in the same bed together.
She bathes him.
She bathes him
when he's, clearly an adult and
he is an adult,
teenager,
but maybe he does symbolize. I mean, maybe again the children are being pulled, and when he's walking around through the house naked in her high heels, he's like a little kid. Like he's and maybe it's just a progression of him growing up into this demon that ends the world.
Yeah, I mean, she very well could have just kept him sheltered and therefore tried to keep him young. And so maybe it doesn't seem weird to him that he's an older teenager and his mom is still bathing him. And there comes a certain point where it's you don't want your parents to see you naked. And it's before you're a teenager.
Yeah, it's true. And let's talk about the end, because you brought it up earlier, that the end is just kind of this chaos that ensues. So the end is they're kind of having their last little session. There's a bunch of people in their apartment.
Yeah.
Soldiers and tanks begin congregating outside. The military is kind of coming together for some reason. Madame Tarantino is conducting an abortion of some sort on Marissa. And
because the son raped her earlier.
Yeah. And Marissa kept going back for these private sessions because she was engaged to a man and she was really excited. They had a wedding date. They were getting a new place and she wanted this abortion, which obviously is probably the son of Satan or something inside her.
Yeah.
And then the little person, she picks up this veil and she walks into the apartment and brings it in, and all these people begin kind of doing what the son was doing in the mirror. They're all kind of inspecting their own bodies and kind of moaning and licking the walls and doing all sorts of weird shit. Obviously in some sort of trance. And the little person goes over to the son and starts whispering in his ear, which sounds like a spell or things for the son to concentrate on. She's saying stuff like the bone, the bladder, the spleen, the liver, the right eye, the arteries, the veins. It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
And then all the patrons inside the room, they start moaning and just screaming. And outside the city's in panic. People are stuck in trains. There's a lot of people running from something, just kind of chaos in the streets. You start hearing a lot of automatic gunfire. Sirens are wailing. Basically a war is waging and the soldiers are killing citizens in the street. And then that fiddler from, the frog scene starts playing again. Everybody from the apartment kind of run out along with the mother and the son. And spoiler alert, the mother is shot and killed as a black dog walks up to her and stands over her. That must mean something. It's the son, right? He's the dog now. And then, the fiddler plays, the credits roll, very short, but as the credits are rolling, there's people just shrieking in terror, for their lives. And it's such an unsettling / perfect way to end.
Oh, that ending is going to piss so many people off.
You don't know where the son went. He ended up running off with the crowd.
Yeah.
You don't know where he is. The last thing you see is the dead mother. Or I guess the last thing you see is the fiddler walking off in the sunset.
Yeah.
And I love it to death. Would you recommend this to people?
100%. I mean, but, with a disclaimer of must be in the right mood. It's like one of those movies that needs, those prescription drug films where they give all these disclaimers about warning may cause confusion and frustration.
Yeah, this one may cause
and
death.
Rage and death and existential crises. And, so I do 100% though. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. I've already talked about Giulio Questi, but I love going down rabbit holes with certain directors that we've covered specifically on past episodes. Finding underseen film, the podcast is about finding underseen films and creative art that a lot of people haven't seen.
Yeah.
Recommending stuff, not recommending stuff, buried under so much content. But this reminded me of Alvaro Passeri's films. It reminded me of searching out, more work from these filmmakers.
Yeah.
Alvaro Passeri's animatronic artwork, Ogroff director and the comic books he did, N.G. Mount, and that he wrote and illustrated all those comics. Of course, John Huckert's The Passing and his paranormal experiences, which led to Joe Augustine and the Polaroid Ghost. Diving deep and researching these filmmakers is my favorite part of this podcast, other than talking with you directly.
That should be your number one thing.
Other than, that is my number one thing.
All right.
And Giulio Questi did that for me. And Arcana, I think, is just a work of art. I find him and his work incredibly inspiring, especially when watching his shorts into his mid 80s. Before he passed away at 90. So he was creative all the way through. The humor he mixes in with terrifying situations. Yeah, I think Arcana is his best work. I think everybody should watch this movie.
I think it's his best, but it's definitely his least accessible.
100%, yeah.
So just keep that in mind. I would still recommend his other two features as well.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this is his best. I more so in the sense of like it's my favorite of him because it feels so much more like everything we've talked about with him, more representative of that.
Right.
It's like asking, what's the most Tarantino film that's a Tarantino film kind of thing. And well, that's a bad example, but I mean,
no, I get what you mean. This feels like it's his film. Nobody, I don't know how many people were involved in maybe altering it, but this feels like this is Giulio Questi's film through and through.
Yeah. What would you do for a double feature then?
Okay. So I want to give a shout out again to Adam Hersey again on Letterboxd, because he did pick a double feature. Right?
Yeah.
Which he included in his review. Everybody should give him a follow. He's writes great reviews. And he watched Arcana after it was announced on Dial Help. So he's always a step ahead of, kind of picking double features a lot of times. And he went with the Cat 3 Hong Kong gross out flick, Centipede Horror.
Yeah.
Specifically for the, quote, dedication displayed by the lead actresses in both films to regurgitate live creepy crawlies out of their mouths. And that is a solid team up. I mean, that's a great double feature.
100%. Yeah.
Wanted to bring that up. That's not my double feature. The first time I watched Arcana, I kept thinking like, I'm going to pick a Giulio Questi film. But you're right. Like Django Kills and Death Laid and Egg doesn't really fit. I think we've made a case for people to seek out his other stuff. But the first time I was watching Arcana I kept thinking of Cronenberg's film Spider from 2002. Have you heard that? Have you watched that?
I haven't seen a lot of later Cronenberg. I mean, besides like, History of Violence, Eastern Promises. So
yeah. This one is about
Crimes of the Future. Sorry,
I still need to watch that.
God damn it, I know. Okay,
but yeah, it stars Ralph Fiennes. He's this mentally disturbed man who slips into these illusions, and you can't really decipher what's real or what's not. It made me the first time I watched Arcana, I got a lot of that feeling. Like, what am I watching? What's real? What does it mean? And then, so while I think it would be a good double feature, that's not my pick. This is my pick. I just want to throw these out there. I wanted to stick with something Italian. So my pick is The Demon from 1963, directed by Brunello Rondi. And it stars Dalia Lavi, who physically looks like Lucia Bosse to me. And she puts on an amazing performance in The Demon. It's about a young woman named Purificata in a small village in Italy, who the villagers think is a witch. And she is obsessed with a man engaged to be married, and she uses witchcraft to place curses on him and people associated with him. And there are scenes of her, her body being possessed, supposedly possessed by demons, and villagers attempting to burn her alive. But a lot of the film is just watching Purificata deal with her own thoughts. And, if you believe she's really a witch or not. And since the main actress, Dalia Lavi, kind of reminds me of Lucia Bosse, I like to imagine that her character, Purificata in The Demon, is part of the Tarantino origin story. So in Arcana, Lucia Bosse's character mentions that her mother was a powerful witch. Mm-hmm. Remember when her son is like, tell me the secrets of how to make a talisman. She's like, I don't know. My mother was the one who was a powerful witch.
Right.
So I'm going to pretend and imagine in this universe that Purificata is the mother of Madame Tarantino.
I like it.
So I'd say watch The Demon, then Arcana, because it feels like a progression of the witchcraft characters and all that. It's currently on Tubi, and it's actually streaming on Shudder for those that have it.
It's in the full core box set too from
It is.
Severin. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. I think that's the best movie in that. Well, I haven't watched everything in the set yet, but like that's my favorite movie of the set so far.
Yeah, I've watched probably about 3 or 4 from that set, and this is the one that really stood out for me.
Spoiler, we might have a reason for you to bust into more in October.
Damn. Giving it a lot of
spoilers.
Yeah, this is this whole movie's a riddle, and so is this episode. What about your double feature?
Yeah, I saw a few people mention some parallels to Jodorowsky in this, and I definitely think that a number of his films could pair with this just for that surreal aspect of the film. There's another film called The Hourglass Sanatorium, very light on narrative, heavy on imagery and surrealism. It's about a man who goes to... God, I can't even explain this movie. That's why it would pair
Sounds
well.
like, yeah.
Just look it up. I can't explain The Hourglass Sanatorium. But ultimately... And I keep doing this. I keep picking like more modern movies, and I feel like people are going to think I've been body snatched or something. But
I like it.
I mean, no, I'm going to trust me. I will course correct soon. But
spoiler alert: in future episodes, Erica will pick older movies.
But my pick is something I watched at Fantastic Fest in 2021. It's actually streaming on Shudder now, and it's called Hellbender.
Okay, yeah.
So this is about a teen girl, Izzy. She lives in a secluded home with her mother. Her mom's been trying to keep her sort of sheltered from the outside world. She's homeschooled. They have a rock band together. But Izzy has these sort of supernatural witch powers. They're hellbenders, hence the name of the movie. But certain events transpire which allow Izzy to sort of discover her power and her family's history. So it's another sort of spiritual coming of age film about a parent and their child, and the child being actually the more powerful one in that relationship. So I think it's got a little bit more of a clear narrative when it comes to this sort of spiritual coming of age, but not too much so that it's not like they're not feeding you everything, so that, you know, there is still some mystery that within that, like, you don't want to lose all of that in these. But yeah, so Hellbender, it's on Shudder.
It was actually one of the last drive-in picks recently.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
oh,
they had the the filmmakers, and then the daughter, I think her name was
the Addams Family.
The Addams,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And they played, I think. I haven't watched it yet on the last drive-in, but I remember it was on, and yeah, I've been wanting to watch that.
Neat. I don't know. I think I would probably go... I'd probably go Arcana first and then Hellbender second.
Yeah, because if you're not going to like Arcana, you're just going to turn it off and watch Hellbender.
Yeah, like it's a more sort of modern telling of something like this. So I don't know. It could go either way. I mean, if you're not in with Arcana, like, are you even going to watch the other movie that we suggest?
That's a good point. Well, Erica, August is coming. What does this mean for us? Shawgust. Yes.
All right. So for those of you who don't know what Shawgust is, that means that we are going to be covering Shaw Brothers horror movies.
That's a big audience sound effect.
Yes, everybody's clapping now. Shawgust. So last year we did Corpse Mania. That was Lance's pick.
Yes.
Really fun sort of Shaw Brothers attempt at a Giallo.
Yeah, 100%.
And we also did Black Magic 2. And we've got 2 more Shaw Brothers horror movie picks. We're going to kick it off with mine. And my hand got a little bit forced on this one because I was going in between 2 movies, and one of them had been sitting at 920 views on Letterboxd for months. And then all of a sudden, within like these last few weeks, it shot up over 1,000. So I don't know if like somebody screened it somewhere around here and like 80 people logged it. But anyway, it's over 1,000. So Hex is off the table, but still definitely recommend that film.
Yes, 100%.
So instead, I'm going with my backup, which is Bewitched from 1981. This is a spiritual precursor to The Boxer's Omen. If you've seen that, then you pretty much know what you're getting in for. It doesn't go nearly as off the rails as Boxer's Omen.
Few do.
But yeah, it's hard to match that. But it definitely has its moments. So Bewitched is about a man who travels to Thailand on vacation. He gets cursed by a woman that he left behind there. He basically promised that he would come back to see her, and obviously no, it was just a vacation fling to him. Well, she took that personally and hired a black magician to put a curse on him, or actually multiple curses. We'll go through all the curses in this movie. There's a lot. But he becomes he not possessed himself, but he's cursed. And so the people around him are trying to kill him, those closest to him, specifically his daughter. So the movie actually opens with him driving a huge stake into his daughter's head and killing her.
Yes.
So now everyone knows why this is, I mean, I don't know why I even thought about picking Hex. Like, it should have just been this all along.
It's the right decision. I mean, all the Shaw Brothers horrors,
right? But he does get caught and goes on trial and is convicted. But he tells his story to the detective who catches him. And this is all like in the very beginning of the film. Like, this is only like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the film. The rest of the movie mainly focuses on the detective going to Thailand to investigate it, because the father is like, I was overtaken by something. I had to, kill her because she was trying to kill me, kind of thing. But it's mostly the detective going to investigate, and he soon becomes entangled within the same black magic between the black magician. He has to recruit a monk, and you get your battles. And I love this movie.
Yes.
So this does have a Blu-ray from 88 Films. It is region B locked. So again, getting back to going region free, folks.
Yeah.
Got to do it. So you can either, I think, check 88 Films website, check Diabolic DVD, check Orbit DVD. They're based in Asheville. Great place. They might have it. Not streaming anywhere. So sorry, folks, got to get the Blu-ray. But I did that last year, too, with Black Magic. So,
well, I think Corpse Mania wasn't streaming anywhere either. That was a DVD only, I think.
Was it?
I feel like it was. My next pick will be streaming.
It is. And that is a glorious pick, folks. I love my pick, but I'm actually more excited to talk about Lance's pick for August. But anyway, Bewitched currently has 878 views on Letterboxd. So hopefully few more of you folks will get around to watching this if you get a chance. So,
we'll see how long Shawgust lasts, because like Hex, more views are getting on these Shaw Brothers horrors.
I feel like Shaw, especially after that Shaw Brothers set that Arrow put out, they're putting out another volume.
Yeah,
getting tapping into more of the horror films. Hopefully there'll be some more readily available ones by the time next Shawgust runs around. But we're good for this year. That's all that matters.
Yes.
Shawgust starts August 1st. Technically not August, whenever that episode comes out, really. But anyway.
Well, it should be August 1st for everybody. You should just watch Shaw Brothers all month long, no matter what.
Yes. It doesn't have to be horror. Any Shaw Brothers will do. But horror, recommend especially.
That's what we do.
All right. If you're not already, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Hex Massacre.
You can follow me on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Twitter at El Shaibi.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you back next month for Shawgust.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, it's Death by Video.
I'm Phil.
I'm Kit.
And I'm Graham saying welcome to our podcast full of merry movie mayhem.
Ever wonder what an Irish kung fu movie would look like?
It's called Fatal Deviation, and we covered it.
Ever wonder what a movie about 1,000 cats would look like?
It's called Night of 1,000 Cats, and we covered it.
And it stars Hugo Stiglitz. Listen to Death by Video to hear us discuss and dissect some of the weirdest, wildest, and wackiest films ever made. All this and more on Death by Video! Woo!